All right. I guess Campbell was waiting. Hey, my bad, Campbell. I sent you the link late, man. It's my fault. I know you about to jump. I know you ready. If anybody ready, you ready. My apologies. But I did email it to you, so you could have got it by your email too. So.
Man,
oh yeah, they jump.
Coach Williams got so many.
They jump. They jumping in here now.
Can Coach hears? Coach hears?
Yeah.
Coach Williams. I mean, Doug.
Yeah. He here. He good. We just wait.
I want to read off some of these accolades, man.
All right. Well, let me do the welcome. Let me welcome everybody to HBCU Coaches Corner. My name is Rocky. I'm your co-host, along with the featured host. My man, hey, Coach, we got a better quarterback than you on this show tonight, so I'm not going to even go through that one night in Mississippi introduction. Coach, Coach, I think he put his stats up against yours. He might got you, Coach. I know you was a bad man at TSU, but we got a legend, HBCU legend coming, Coach. So look like that froze him up. Anyway, but with no further ado, my main man, Johnnie Cole. Look like Coach Cole froze up on me over there. He will be back. Well, all right, just in time, man. That's my fault, Campbell. That's my fault. And I was introducing Coach Cole and mentioned that we had a SWAC quarterback that was better than him on the show tonight. And he logged off, Coach. Looked like he just shut his whole computer down and got out of here on us. But like I say, the show must go on. I know Coach is coming back. Hey, you back, Coach?
Man, look, the show, when you said all that something better than me, the show went off. The guys, the quarterback guys came down, Coach. You know, and just said we were just in a different era, baby.
All right, Coach. With no further ado, I know he's a very busy man with a very tight schedule. And I know he's a very good friend of yours, and I want to give you the opportunity to do the introduction tonight.
Man, I just really always read up, and Doug Williams is the reason why I played football in the SWAC. You know, he was the first African-American quarterback that I seen actually play on television. And I just really found out that I'm born August the 4th, and he's born August the 9th. So we sitting both at Leo's. Well, he grew up in Zachary, Louisiana. I guess his playing career was with Tampa Bay. Everybody know Oklahoma, Arizona Outlaws. He also played with the Washington Redskins, where he actually took them to the Super Bowl. Now, his coaching profession, once he finished playing, he started coaching at Point Coupee Central High School. And then he went on to Northeastern, and then he coached at the Navy Shipment at running back coach. He went on to Scottish Canmore overseas. Then he came back and coached in Morehouse. And, of course, where he established himself was at Grambling. He took over at Eddie Robinson, where he won 2 national championships there, 2000, 2001, HBCU. His career highlights was
Did he go out on you, Campbell, too?
Yep, he's gone.
Well, with no further ado, we're gonna bring up what do you remember what Super Bowl that was? It 27?
Ooh, As you see, I got in the background.
Yeah. The only Super Bowl MVP we've ever had on this show, none other than the legend himself, Doug Williams.
How y'all doing, man?
Hey, Coach Williams, I would like to thank you for joining us today. We have our SWAC historian here, Mr. Campbell. He's very familiar with what all you were able to achieve as well. For me, I'm a lifelong NFL football fan and somebody who has admired you ever since you were first-round draft pick for Tampa Bay, and it's a pleasure to have you on tonight.
No, it's my pleasure to be on here, man. It's
well,
good.
You know, one thing I gotta say, Coach, I gotta keep on going down with your accolades. At one time, Doug Williams was the only black quarterback in the NFL. The only. Now we got 16 starters in the NFL, which is 32, man. A tribute to this man, which is an HBCU man. I want to let everybody know that, Doug, because sometimes, you know, we don't get our flowers. We don't get our flowers. And one time, Doug and Evan Williams, I think he played with the Bears, right, Coach?
You talking about
Vince Evans.
Vince Evans. I'm sorry,
yeah,
Vince Evans. Y'all was the only two black quarterbacks start and played against each other also in the NFL.
You're right.
So a lot of times, man, you know, Doug, of course, you know better than anybody. You've been around longer than I have. That the untruths and the things where they talk about HBCU and what we mean to not just college football, but also the NFL as well. Not started with you, but you were able to carry the torch to another level, man. And I just want to make sure I give you your flowers above board. But, hey, Coach, I'm glad you came on tonight. You are the better quarterback than me. And so I know you're going to give me –
opinion, John. That's a matter of opinion. You know that.
One of the things that we be talking about on here, man, is the quarterback play in the conference. I know you're now executive with the Washington Commanders. I know your schedule is full. But one thing about Doug Williams, I want our viewers to know. And, Doug, we've had over 2 million viewers, you know, just in 1 year. Wow. And I want them to know as much as about you as they know about Nick Saban or anybody else that have took a snap or coached a game.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Coach, I guess I wanted to come out and ask, what role or did you play a role in getting this sensational quarterback, or do you play a role now? Do y'all talk with getting this sensational Daniels kid?
You talking about the kid that we have here in Washington?
Yes.
Well, you know, Jaden and I. It's funny that you asked that because when we was in the room doing scouting and trying to find out, you know, what quarterback is what, I didn't say a word, but I knew Jaden in 2018, and you know, we was going over all the quarterbacks, and at the end of the day, you know, it was about 5, I think it was 6 of them at the time, and you know, when consensus came along, everybody was for Jaden. So when we drafted Jaden, the general manager walked up to me and say, "Why didn't you tell me that you knew Jaden?" And you know, I said, "Well, you know, we was in that discussion. I didn't want to cause no bias or anything. You know, we gonna pick the guy we thought was the best player." And just so happened it was Jaden Daniels, man. And it's been a great for me, great for the whole organization to have him around, because it's hard to get a kid like that, man. Not so much as playing, but the individual himself, the guy who he really is, the person.
Yeah. Now, Coach, you are one of the executives. Exactly what is your role in the Washington Commanders operation?
I'm kind of like personnel, but my role is during draft time, and even like now, you know, they got 2 college games up under their belt. I've started looking at the top 15 quarterbacks in the country. So my job is at the end of the day, when we go and we talk about players, they got guys on the road scouting them, don't get me wrong, but I just watch film, all the film and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, when it's time to talk about drafting and stuff like that, I just give them my tape on the top 15 quarterbacks in the league. And they give me a list of the guys that they want me to watch. And I start watching them, like even during the season, like right now, when I'm not on the field with practice, I'm in the room watching tape and trying to get a feel for all the guys that are out there. You know, I started the day watching the great Arch Manning today, And I do him. I get about 5 games on him, and all the guys that are out there that are coming out supposedly this year.
Yeah, I don't know. Now, Coach, I know. I mean, you kind of talk, behind closed doors, and about the HBCUs, and Coach. All of a sudden now, it's everybody. I'm not saying everybody go to, but the two quarterback system. I don't really believe in the two quarterback system. I believe the quarterback handles the ball 100% of the time. But now, when you're looking in HBCU sports, in HBCU, we've always had top quarterbacks,
Right.
always. From your years to my years to the early '90s, it seems like we've got away from that. We got the body kid now that's from Alabama State that's raising. He's doing a lot of great things. I think the kid over at John C. Smith is doing some good things over there, but it just ain't that HBCU quarterback that's one of the top in the country. Now you sitting back and looking. I know you still watch HBCU football. What you think about that?
Well, it's unfortunate. The guys that back in the day, Johnny, when you and myself was in the SWAC, a lot of the other schools didn't worry about us because we was at the HBCU. So, they can't play anyway. That was their mentality. But I think now they see guys that, quarterbacks now, like you said earlier, we got 16 black quarterbacks starting the National Football League this weekend. So it tells you one thing, they're out there. So therefore, the ones that usually go to the HBCUs are not going anymore because even the lowly Division ones and the one double A's, whoever, coming scooping them guys up and bringing them in their school, and it's hard to find them now. The kid over at Alabama State, I checked his stats out the last 2 weeks, and they say I think he's a junior from my understanding. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we all got to be real. The chance of him being back at Alabama State, I hope it doesn't happen. But somebody gonna come and steal that kid, man, the way he plays the game. And if that happens, you can't say nothing about it because the kids get rewarded. But at the end of the day, it's hard to find a guy that come up through the HBCU as a quarterback. And the two quarterback system, I'm not a fan of that either. I want one guy and a guy behind him if something happened to him to handle the football.
Right. Well, we're talking about Andrew Body. I mean, he's we kind of identified him last year as he's that guy. He's him in black college football. My thing, and if I can add to it, to these offensive coordinators and head coaches that can't make a decision on who the guy is, they got to understand, like I said earlier, the quarterback handles the ball 100% of the time. He cannot go out on that field second guessing himself. What were some of the things that Eddie, when he chose you as his coach, as his quarterback, that you guys were able to have that relationship?
Well, let me tell you, I'm going all the way back to my freshman year, my redshirt freshman year when I became quarterback and I was 13. We played up in Shreveport. Joe Como was starter. Joe Como threw 30-something interception the year before, but he was a senior. So Coach Rob, hey, we're gonna go with this senior. It wasn't about where you go, or what have you. And unfortunately, Joe Como broke his wrist, and Terry Brown from Shreveport, Louisiana, Captain Shreve came in. He was the blue chip recruit the same year I came out. So I was red shirt. Terry went on, and Terry couldn't move the team against Tennessee State. And Coach Rob said, "Where that Will boy?" So I went in, and we ended up winning the game like 21-6. And from that day on, I became a starter. But going back to that first game up in Shreveport, I did not play. And to be honest with you, I quit the team. I quit the team the next day. I quit the team. I say because my spring practice, I thought I had better practice than all of them in spring, but I wasn't playing. So I told him I wasn't playing. So I'm up in the room watching the Big Valley. And Coach Harvey, who was the basketball coach, also one of the assistant coaches, came up to my room and asked me what the hell I'm doing up here. And I told him, I said, "Coach, I quit." He said, "Hell, you can't quit. Get your behind out of here." So I went down on the field halfway through practice, and I thought I was going to do a Dwayne Thomas on them all. Dwayne Thomas didn't speak. So I went down halfway through practice. I ain't say nothing to nobody. But it was a rude awakening, though, Johnny, because what happened, nobody said anything to me. And I realized that by me not saying anything to anybody else wasn't going to help me. So I went to eat, and he sent a coach up there for me. Coach Rob did. So it came and got me. Coach Sterling came and got me. I went down there. Coach Rob was still in the stadium. And I'm sitting there, and he looked at me. He said, "Hell, Cat, you can't quit. Hell, you ain't gonna leave here and come back and beat me." So, so he told me. He said, "Hell, the only reason why you ain't playing, and this really threw me for a loop." He said, "Hell, the only reason why you ain't playing because hell, if you get in there, them other boys ain't gonna get a chance to play." So I'm looking dumbfounded now. He said, "If I get in there, they ain't gonna play. What you want, coach?" You know, but 4 games later, I ended up going in, and from that time on, I was a starter for the next 3.5 years.
Yeah. One of the things I just add to the two quarterback system, it kind of guards. It's like guardrails for the head coach and the offensive coordinator. It's saying, all right, I'm playing quarterback A. Oh, it ain't working. It ain't working. Well, let me put quarterback B. Well, it ain't working. It ain't working. Instead of them looking at themselves, they look at the two quarterbacks. So the fan wise is like, oh, okay, it's the two quarterbacks. They don't have two quarterbacks that can play. I just disagree. I mean, and I know. I mean, just last night, if you watched the Monday night game, Minnesota with J.J. McCarthy, his first three quarters was horrible.
Horrible, yeah.
He come back to fourth quarter. Now they ready to name him all pro. But
Well,
but he got the team behind him and he got the coach behind him. Was able for him to settle in.
yeah, you look at that game. For a young quarterback like that, he had his running game started working. And he threw that first pass to Jefferson. His confidence went way up because Jefferson at that time was a little confused. He wasn't getting the ball, and the kids started throwing the ball, and all of a sudden now he feel like he can do that every week, and that's what you want in your quarterback. The coach got to be able to take whatever happens during this game to say that I'm the one responsible for it, even if the quarterback don't play well. If you watch him in practice, there's a difference between 1 and 2. I don't care how you cut it up.
Right.
It's hard to say we're gonna play a 2 quarterback system because two ain't gonna never play like one from your standpoint because what one do every day in practice and two just come in and take over where one left off. But no, you can't play 2 quarter. I can't. I don't think I could coach with 2 quarterbacks though.
Now, Coach, you executive of Washington Commanders. You watch film on quarterbacks, and I'm pretty sure all the other 31 teams does it too. What is it? What would you tell a kid now? Can he go to HBCU, do a great job like McNair and Willie Totten and yourself, and play in the NFL, or does he need to go to the big time school?
Well, I'm gonna be honest, Johnny. When we look at the landscape of the HBCU, you got some HBCU who really does a great job, and you got some that don't do a good job. But I think if you got a player and you dominate the conference that you're playing in, it's hard for a scout. I'm gonna tell you, it's hard for a scout not to recognize that. And because I know we sat in the room and you look at different quarterbacks, they play well, but at the end of the day, they want to know you to have it factor. It's something about the it factor that makes a difference. When you see a guy who dominate the conference and not only the conference, the opponents that they play, because you don't play outside the opponent too. So you play some not the big one. I'm not talking about Ohio State and places like that, but you play the high 1AA and low Division I school, and you dominate. Like the kid at Alabama State. I don't know how big that kid is or what he do, but he got something special because he went up there to UAB, and you know what? Whether he had HBCU, whether he had UAB, or whether he had University of South Florida, I think he would be able to play the same way he's playing now.
Yeah. He about 6'2", about 200 pounds.
Right.
When you coach your quarterbacks as well, what is important to you when you're coaching them quarterbacks? Understanding the X's and O's of the game, understanding, down and distance, or the physical attributes of what he got. If he got a strong arm, if he not. I know you have Bruce Eugene. I mean, he set it on fire, Coach. I mean, he set it on fire. I know we battled a whole bunch. We had Darnell Kennedy at the time. Shit, we probably went through for 800 yards between us.
Combined, you're right.
Combined. What is it about your style or what you see when you're coaching the quarterback that maybe somebody listening to it can help?
I was fortunate at Grambling. Early on, I had to shove the quarterback by 2 or 3 guys trying to find that guy. And then Bruce came along, and then I had Randy Hines, them 2 guys. And in the game we played you all, matter of fact, my wide receiver, Ellis Spears, got hurt. And I moved Randy Hines from quarterback to wide receiver and put Bruce Eugene in at quarterback. That's how blessed I was, because both of them could play. And Bruce, let me say about Bruce. Bruce Eugene, it's unfortunate, man, that Bruce Eugene is not playing in the National Football League, because Bruce was sharp, he was smart, and he had arm talent. He could throw the ball any way you wanted it to be thrown. Overhand, side arm, underhand. He could get it there. And he was a decent athlete. Bruce is the kind of guy that you want on your team. But he also was, I always call him a Philadelphia lawyer. He knew everything. He didn't know how to just sit there and just listen to exactly what you're saying. He was always want to be a step ahead of you, rather than going along with what's going on. But it's hard if you got a quarterback. His job, the most important thing about a quarterback, he got to know one thing. Number one, he got to be tough, because it's going to be some time you're going to get your behind knocked up, but you got to get up and don't blame nobody. Get up, dust off, pat the lineman on the behind. If you throw a bad pass, you threw a bad pass. If your receiver dropped the pass, he dropped the pass. My thing is always say, don't ever point your finger downfield at somebody else. You got people watching you, and the first thing they're going to say, oh, that's his fault. You don't want that. Whatever blame it is, you take that blame. And the other part, you got to know everything that is happening from a receiver standpoint, and even the offensive line. You better know who's blocking for you and where they're coming from. To me, that's key. If a quarterback can do all that, and he can throw the football and know where to throw it and when to throw it, I think he got a chance. But all that's a lot to deal with, and it's hard to get one of them all the time, John. You get a guy that got some of it, but it's hard to get one that got it all.
Well, when you coach some great ones, Coach. You won two Black College National Championships with both of them.
Yeah.
What, Coach? I was reading off some of your stats before Rocky started talking about you better than me and all that kind of stuff. But when you go out and look for a quarterback or recruit a quarterback, what's important to you when you go try to find one?
But number one, especially when I was in college, the most important thing is you want to know how smart the guy is, number one. You want to know, do he go to class? Do he want to graduate? What he want to do? You don't want him to just come to play football and not go to class. 9 out of 10, you're gonna get in trouble with that guy. But a guy like that, like right now, there's a guy at Grambling, Brandon Logan, who's working at Grambling. I recruited Brandon as a quarterback. Brandon was smart. Right. But when I got there, I had Bruce Eugene, I had Brandon, and I moved Brandon to safety. And I knew how smart he was. He went over there and he played safety. These 2 guys played quarterback. But you want a guy that's smart enough to know what you want as a coach. I remember when I played with Coach Rob, after my freshman year, Coach would call a play, and the way we call a play was, I don't know, in that wing T was always in sync with something else, pass plays, reverse, and all that. I knew what Coach was going to call before he sent it in. Wow. I used to just wave him off because I knew where his mind was. We was in the 28 series. We're going to run the 25. We're going to run the 28 sweep. We're going to give it to the wing back, the tailback going back the other way, and we're going to throw the 28 pass. I knew everything he was thinking. Yeah. So you want a quarterback who almost on the same page that you are when you sit there and you talk about the game plan and what we got to do and things like that, and what, think about the down, the distance. Don't just go out there with your mind, say, let's just play the game. Don't know what you fighting for. If you don't know what it's 3rd and 2, and you thinking is, 2nd and 10, That's crazy. You want to know what you can get. You want to keep the chains moving. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
When you got a shot, take a shot. But other than that, let's keep the football. If we're gonna run the football, let's run it.
Right.
You got to be able to mix it all in.
Yeah. I two more questions. I know I'm gonna turn you. I know they biting at the bit to get at you. How much do the spread offense? I just think it has hurt the quarterback position. Of course, you don't do the 3-step drop, the 5-step drop, the 7 steps drop. You don't come out and read the coverage. You come out and find a guy who you're gonna throw the ball off of. I know the spread offense also makes the defense soft because you're bubble screening. There's no power really in the game. It's inside zone, outside zone. How you feel about the spread offense? And as far as I don't think it contribute or help the quarterback, nor does it help the defense.
Well, I always wanted to play with a tight end and a running back who can run the football. I'll be honest with you. I know I threw the ball and with Bruce and all that. I looked over and I thought about how many times Bruce was averaging about 60 throws a game. And when I played, it was 20. I threw 25 times average on a game. That's a lot of passes, man. But everybody went to the pass, and the other part of it, we had good receivers. So my thing was I got to take advantage of what I have. But I also had decent running back. My tight end didn't catch a lot of passes, but he did a lot of blocking, and that's what I wanted him for.
I remember, Coach, when you went no back with your tight end and you ran counter with the damn quarterback.
Yeah, because I had a quarterback who's big enough and who can run, especially Randy Hines could run. And when you got it open like that, nobody looking for the quarterback to run. But you know what? You can surprise people like that. It just so happened that's the offense that a lot of people are running now, and you gotta go with it most of the time because you got those kind of athletes. It's hard to get a tight end now, Johnny. You know that. It's hard to find a tight end. It's hard to find a fullback. You might have one back, but it's hard to find a fullback. So you almost gotta open it up a little bit. And tight ends don't block no more, so you got to get a receiver tight end, and every now and then get in and hope he can block somebody. But that's basically what you're playing with.
Yeah. Now, Coach, you played in the wing T. And sometimes people don't understand a lot of stuff that you do. Ain't nothing really new if you started back at the wing T. So y'all still 2x2 in the wing T, fullback in the back, and you still do your zone, your belly with the reverse. Some folks I think don't understand that the spread ain't nothing but sometime a wing T with just everybody spread it out.
Well, the wing T, Coach, I'm going to tell you what Coach Rob told me one day. Oklahoma at that time had all these running backs, and they was running the wishbone and all that. I remember going and sitting in Coach Robinson's office, and I said, Coach, why we don't run why we don't open it up, or why we don't run the wishbone? I said, why? He said, hell, Cat, let me show you something. He got on the board, right? And he drew like a football field, and he put up the wing T. You got two tight ends, you got a wing, tailback, and a fullback, and you got a quarterback. He said, hell, Cat, you got more room outside than you got inside. Hell, take advantage of it. And the way we call plays, we did, because, we had this one pass, 28 pass, where you gave the extra receiver option. You can go boom corner, you can go in like a fake post corner and go back to the post. So we scored a lot of TDs on that. Then we had the 25 takeoff with Sammy White going out and up on the right side. So you start doing that and you realize that football is football. Nobody's going to invent nothing. It all depends on what you're running. And our wing T, we ran a misdirection. That's basically what it was.
Right.
You turn around this way and you hand it to the tailback going back the other way. You turn this way, tailback going back this way. Tight end pulling, tackle pulling, blocking down. That's basically what we did. It's all football. Coach Rob used to always say it's blocking and tackling. If you can do that, you can win football game.
I know talking to a lot of defensive coordinators, they said, just read the guard. That's where the play goes. Just read the guard.
You know what? They right, though. Let me tell you this. The only team that really gave us fits, to be honest with you, was Alcorn. And I remember my senior year, they knew Coach Rob and Coach Casman had coached against each other for years. And Coach Casman knew every time that when that left guard pick up and move, he said, just follow that guard. Hit the guard, just follow the guard. Then, and when we played in my senior year, we didn't even worry about that because we threw the football. I think I threw for about 400 some yards because they played 3 deep, man to man, all over the field. And we started running them crosses and stuff like that. They couldn't keep up with us. But now if you run the ball, they're gonna be right on the guard's tail. They was right about that.
My last question, I'm gonna turn it over to my counterparts, Coach. I'm not big on the celebrity coaches. I think it's a place for them. I think my guys are right. It is a place for them. I do get it with the 2 that's going to Norfolk, where the band playing and the music, and people come out to see these guys. But looking at you, looking at Sam Shade, most of the guys that come from the NFL, that actually go through the chain, just like you did high school, small college, and move through. How much do you think that's important to do it that way, or jump from the NFL, or because I was in the NFL, into a head position?
It's unfortunate. I think what we're dealing with, a bunch of these presidents who wants to, I guess looking at the celebrity standpoint. I'm a firm believer there's a lot of coaches out there that have coached at black colleges that deserve an opportunity that don't get those opportunities. I'm not saying the guys can't coach who come from the NFL, but I think as a learning process when you just walk in there, like Dion coached in high school. I'm gonna give Dion the benefit of the doubt. He coached in high school. He coached his kid in high school, so he had been coaching. Michael Vick did intern at a couple of the NFL teams. And he's from Norfolk area, so that was big for Norfolk. Deshaun Jackson, Alabama, I'm gonna say Delaware State. I don't know what that was exactly about, but they gave him a job. But you got to look at what's gonna happen down the road, the win and losses. And the other thing, you just can't come into a HBCU and say I want to coach, because a lot of things that you're not gonna get. And if you went there, you've been around it, you understand that part. And a lot of these coaches will never understand it. Eddie George did a decent job at Tennessee State, but Tennessee State has turned out to be a kind of different HBCU. They got a big body of white kids that go to school there. It's a little different. And now Eddie's at Bowling Green, so that's the opportunity that they got. But I'm sure if Michael Vick does a good job, if Deshaun do a good job, I know Mike, if he do a good job, he probably gonna elevate to maybe a low 1AA or what have you, like Willie Simmons did, at FIU, schools like that.
Yeah. One question from our audience. It says, can you ask Doug? He think he and Jimmy Giles would get into the NFL Hall of Fame.
You're talking about something you don't have no control over. Number one. And I do think Jimmy Giles deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. The unfortunate thing now, tight end, the way the voters look at tight ends now, it's not conventional tight ends anymore. It's pass catching tight ends. Jimmy Giles could get you to the edge. He can block down. He can get you to the corner, and he can run and catch passes. Jimmy's about a 4'6" guy. He should be in the Hall of Fame. As far as myself, I can't speak on that. That's going to be up to the people who make those decisions.
Go ahead, Rob.
Oh man,
Appreciate
it's been great just sitting here listening to you and Coach Cole have a conversation about quarterbacks and a lot of things about team building and stuff like that. One of the things that I want to ask you is, you played for a guy in the pros who actually won Super Bowls with multiple quarterbacks. You were a coach who won championships with multiple quarterbacks. I just want to ask you a question. How much is a quarterback's performance dependent on how well he's developed and how well he's coached?
Well, Coach Gibbs had 3 different quarterbacks, and just this past year, Coach Gibbs has a dinner all the time, and this is the first time that the 3 of us have ever been together on the same stage, along with Coach Gibbs. And the one thing Coach Gibbs said about his quarterbacks, and I said the same thing earlier, that you got to be one of the toughest guys on the field, not so much from getting hit, but there's a lot of things gonna come your way that you got to take the blame for and stuff like that. And it's the same way that, I try to do my guys. I try to take what I learned from playing for Coach Robinson, uh, Coach Gibbs, and understanding that it's about the character of the guy. And that's what I try to do. The people that play for you has good character, what have you, especially quarterback. You want the quarterback to be a stand-up guy. You don't want that guy running with the receivers, think you one of the boys. And at the end of the day, you one of the boys, but you can't do what they do. You can't run with the defensive backs. Them divas, man, you can't run that. You got to be the leader of the football team. And I think that's the most important thing about playing that position.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I've been watching the Jerry Jones documentary and America's Team and the Gambler. And one of the things that was documented in that documentary was Jimmy Johnson and Aikman had almost like a rift at a point to where it kind of broke down their relationship until Jimmy Johnson and him began to communicate and begin to see the game and how teams are built through the same lens. I'm going to ask you this as a coach and as a player. How important is that quarterback-coach relationship to the overall team success?
Well, I know at this level it's big, because I watch Jaden and I watch Jaden with Dan Quinn and his offensive coordinator. He comes in early. He called and make sure that they there at 6 o'clock in the morning. So they got a great relationship, and Dan Quinn got great relationship. So I think it's important that they build that relationship because there's going to be time when you're going to ask the quarterback what you think, and he's going to give you what he think, and you got to give him what he wants. Especially at this level. At college level, it's a little different. You got to make sure that you give him what he needs, not so much what he wants, and that he can work with. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, one of the things that I want to piggyback off, Lionel Taylor.
Doug, yeah, bless his soul.
One of the greats, man. And Rocky, that's what he done for us. It wasn't like we had a great relationship,
right?
But when it came to the damn game, and when he punished or wanted to be up there at 5 a.m, we just built that relationship. And like Doug said, and I said earlier, the quarterback got to be able to make mistakes, be able to explain the mistakes. And if he's explaining the mistakes, they got to be football answers.
Right.
Not exactly. Like, I just seen him open. No. Linebacker, Doug, you know that.
You got to have a reason why you saw him open.
Right. So that's important.
And this is the last question I'll have, and I'll just because I think as I watch SWAC and HBCU football the last few years, sometimes it's quite difficult to understand what is actually going on. Have you ever been in the dilemma where you believed in one guy or you thought he was the guy and he just couldn't get it done on the field and you end up having to go to another guy? It seems like coaches are struggling with that. They want one guy to be the guy and he just can't get it done on the field and end up having to go to the backup quarterback to get it done. Have you ever been in that situation, and what was your thought process in navigating that?
Well, like Johnny said earlier, I've been lucky. My first 2 years at Grambling, I was in that situation. Because I was trying to find the guy, and then Bruce Eugene and Randy Hines came along, settled that whole problem, and that's going to happen. You ain't gonna walk in a situation and say this is the guy. You got to find a way to find the guy that you think can get you over the hump. I think that's important. Number one thing for a college coach, especially at HBCU, that when you get in there, find you a good one that you can trust and you can talk to, and he understand where you're coming from.
Seems like
Rocky. Remember we were talking, and you were saying, "Well, I like this guy, but this quarterback is here." And remember, I told you, man, I'm gonna play the best guy. Doug, like he just told us tonight. Man, I like Hines, but this kid is getting it done, man. I'm going to go with this kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ain't no favoritism. The only favoritism is which one of them going to make me win.
Well, I look at Michael Vick's situation that he's had his first 2 college games. He's played a guy who's immensely talented, but the offense has struggled mightily while he's in the game. He's brought in the other guy, Otto, to relieve the guy just to move the ball enough to be competitive, and they were lucky enough to win this last game. How does a coach end up in that situation? It's literally the same game replicating itself where you have to bring a guy off the bench in order to move the ball. It seems like you would be able to see that guy in practice, what he can do in the game, and make that decision coming into the game rather than having to make that decision in the middle of a game.
Well, number one, it's a little easy being what was the relief pitcher at the Yankees, Rivera?
Yeah.
It's easy coming in there to relieve him because you got nothing to lose. But I think when you hand that ball to him from the start, it's a little different. Now I don't know what Mike gonna do this week or what have you. Well, not the second team gonna be the starter, but Mike is in the same position when I said earlier. He's trying to find that guy. I'm sure he would rather have that guy than those guys, and let that guy be the backup to the guy. So he's searching too now.
I'll let Campbell go. But it seems, let me just say this last comment. It seems like a lot of times they want the quarterback to come in and be the system rather than having a system to fit the quarterback into. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, but you just hit the nail on the head. You can't bring somebody in and let them fit into what you're doing if they don't fit. Right. You can't put a square in a round peg in the hole now. Now you got to find out what he can do. And you got your system got to be built around what he can do. 9 out of 10, if you got a system, you got to have something in your system that he can do. Now if you run the wishbone and he's 6'4" and with a cannon and he can throw the football, you can forget about the wishbone. Right. So you got to worry about who you got back there running the system.
Hey, as I would say, Doug, and you appreciate this. Hey man, recruiting is over. I got you here now.
Yeah.
That we either go get something you can fit in, or you got to fit in this. And if you don't, hey man, look, we got to win some games, man. I love you, but we got to win some football games.
But you got to get some players. You got to get some players on defense and offensive line for that quarterback too. Now, let's not forget that. Now, I don't care who the quarterback is. If you don't have those guys, you lost.
Well, Mr. Williams, looks like I get a chance to talk to you, and I appreciate you being here. As you see what I got in the background.
I like it, man. I love it.
I come prepared every time you come on. I have something for you. So I want to say this was Super Bowl 22.
I like that.
The legendary Sports Illustrated cover that sold out in all of Black America. Now, I want to start off something light. Just how many of these do you still have, and how many of them did you have to sign when they came out?
Well, I've signed a lot of them at these autograph shows, but I got it down in my house in Louisiana. I just got one up in the trophy case.
Wow,
that's all I need is one.
Just one.
Yeah,
because I literally still have the Sports Illustrated. And so when the next time you come to Atlanta for the HBCU Hall of Fame, I'm going to make sure that I get you to sign it, because
I will.
All I know is, and this is the thing for us young folks, we didn't have the internet back then. You had to wait until the mail ran. And my mother was like, listen, go to the Kroger and get every one of them for me, your aunt, your mama, and everybody. Now, these are Jackson State folks now that want to make sure that we had these Sports Illustrated.
Well, you know what? I've seen so many of those. You're talking about 37 years ago. And I've signed so many of those things that's in perfect condition. It's amazing. 37 years, man, when you see that. And
hey, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X are in every household.
What about Obama, man?
He might have done something to make it too.
Hey, what you say? He up there with Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and Doug.
There you go.
Now, Rushmore.
Now, let me ask you a question, because Coach asked a lot of great questions about Blake. I'm going to actually switch it, because you're going to understand something. So I know this HBCU show, but I want to talk about the black quarterback, because you said something that triggered me about you didn't want your quarterback to point and basically show up a guy. Now, you've got a young man, I'm pretty sure you're familiar, Bryce Underwood, $12 million quarterback in Michigan. And, of course, they showed him on the sideline getting into it. So what I would like to ask you, and this is going to be a bigger question, you got him, DJ Lagway, Lenore Southern South Carolina, guys that are making a lot of money that are black quarterbacks. You saw Shador. Now you, and like I say, Doug, it's very well chronicled that you felt that you were underpaid. You felt that there were things that, politics that were done. What would you tell these young black quarterbacks because of now of the NIL, the money that they're making, but they also have to get to the NFL? Because we heard a lot of things about Shedeur. Did he come on time? Did he wear headphones and things like that? What would you tell these black quarterbacks? And this goes to, again, HBCU quarterbacks that have potential, but you going through it, what would you tell these young black quarterbacks that are not getting a lot of money, they're being judged because they get a lot of money, and what would you explain to them by being a leader in a team like that? What would you tell those guys?
Well, when I came out, you had to be you had to be humble, number one. If you're gonna play in the league, you got to be humble. And even today, even with 16 starting, if you're a black quarterback, no matter what school you go to, if you come in the league, you still got to be humble, because you know what? It don't take much to unhumble you, because this is the National Football League. We don't own a team yet. They own them. So there's a way you got to come in there, because at the end of the day, I promise you, none of these owners, now they'll love you to death if you come in, you can play, and that's all you want. You want to make as much money as you could and get out. After that, you don't care what they think of you, but get the money first. So you got to come in with our idea that, I'm going to be humble and do my job. I'm going to play well. I'm going to play for a long time. I'm going to get paid. And after that, it's over with. And I think that's the most important thing. You can't come in there thinking you're going to change the landscape of that man's team. That's his team. You come in, he brought you in there just like everybody else. I mean, you the quarterback, he's gonna give you a little more sugar because you are the quarterback. I watch our owners all the time, man. When Jaden Mama out there, they talk to Jaden Mama. When Jaden come around, hey, they gonna give him the sugar, because why? Jaden is important to this organization, and he knows it, but he handles it so much different. You would never know that he's Jaden Daniels the way he carries himself. And see, if everybody came in, I know everybody's not gonna be like that. He didn't come in here and say, I'm going to brand myself, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. He's Jaden Daniels. But even when I met him in 2018, he was the same guy. And I think that's important when you carry yourself like that, to make the difference in this team. Dak Prescott is another prime example. Dak make a lot of money, $60 million a year. He didn't make $60 million a year because he come in here all high and mighty and letting you know this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. That ain't way you do it. You get the money.
Who'd you just say, Mr. Williams?
Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott.
You know
we're not about to do this Cowboy fandom.
He's a Cowboy fan.
I just used them because they didn't win that night, but I just used
them. now, Doug, I wanted to ask you, so moving forward, I want to know how this now, because again, you have such a great perspective. Again, you played during a time when there were no black quarterbacks, where you had to really work your way. Now we've got 16. But I want to talk, because we have a lot of people that watch the show, and that is a fan because he started with us, Shedeur Sanders. So you saw all the social media that was around it. Should he have gotten drafted in the first round? It wasn't fair. He did not let him get all the reps and things like that. And he still went about his business. Now he's on the team. The depth chart is the depth chart. What would you, if he called you and said, hey, Mr. Williams, what do I need to do to be and have a long career like you? What would you tell Shedeur based off of what you've seen from all the outside noise and all the people talking? What would you tell Shedeur based off his situation right now?
Well, let me say this. Shedeur is with a team in the National Football League. And I can't talk about that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You see what I'm saying?
I was just going.
Well, let me ask you. Well, let me flip it this way.
No, he told me that's between him and I, but I can't.
Right. No, I tell you. So let me ask you a question. If in the social media era, right, and a lot of things that come, what would you tell a player how to handle that going forward to come to the pros and things like that, and how to focus on that? How about that?
Well, number one, let me say this: in social media, everything they put out there, we got 3 books, 2 books. We got a red book and we got a blue book. The red book is for all the guys that's been injured, that's in the draft. I mean, they got all the records on everybody. Then there's the blue book is character. And if you're on social media, I can promise you this, they got it. They're going to read everything you put out there. And that's why it's so important, man. You got to be careful with what you put out there, because you can't take it back once it's out there. And they look at stuff like that. You'd be surprised how many guys that didn't get drafted or who got drafted a lot later than they expected because of what was in the blue book. Because they, it's $1 billion. Used to be $1 million industry. It's $1 billion in industry now, and they're not gonna lose their money on a guy with character that are questionable. So that's how they do it.
Now, Doug, is it a such thing as good social media out there, like a kid showing his family?
Oh yeah. I mean, like I say, they got it. I don't care where you one that got talk about your sister, your brother, your accolades and all that. That's fine. But when you start using the N word and this and that and talking about women and stuff like that, promise you they got it all.
You know something that as you bring that up, right? There are a lot of things I'll say this as a in your day, that if you had cornrows or an afro, do you think you would have been drafted as high as you were?
No, not at all. No.
So okay, now you have a guy like Jaden Daniels who does wear long hair, unconventional hairstyle, but he has impeccable character, impeccable football character, and impeccable personal character. In your recruiting or evaluation process, how do you separate those things now? Where guys were in our day, guys were labeled for having maybe a questionable hairstyle, maybe even some tattoos or something like that. How do you guys manage that now?
Yeah, it's all about the character, how he carry himself. They're not going to talk about his looks and all that. No matter what he has on his head, whatever he got on his shoulders, if he got great character and can play the game, that's the most important thing. It's not about that. When I came out, it was a whole different because people characterize you how you look back then. If I came out, but they wasn't wearing dreads back then. If I came out with dreads, my chance of going the first round would have been slim and none. And might not even got in the league. You never know. But times have changed now. I look at the kid in Tennessee, Ward. He probably had one of the best press conferences that I've seen, how humble he was. He reminded me of LeBron James.
Now, Coach, one of the things I wanted to ask you now what you brought that back, as you look at the landscape and you're looking at your beloved SWAC, what do you think the SWAC needs to do when they're not? Your team was the one that would go win out of conference games, like you say. Eddie Robinson would play anybody, anytime, any place, but you don't see that level now where we can win out of conference games. With unfortunately, Prairie View lost to Rio Grande Valley that just stepped up. Alcorn lost to a Northwestern State that had lost 22 in a row. What would you like to see from the SWAC overall to improve the talent, to improve the ability? Because I know you always are looking for kids, and you say that book, you're always looking for kids from your conference to, like I said, which we know, hey, Mr. Excitement, Marquette, I know you brought him up there to give him a shot. So what are you looking for and hope the conference would improve on to, improve their play?
Number one, it's about players. And first of all, I got my take on what's going on now in HBCU, and everybody might not have my same take on it with the NIL and all that. First of all, let's be real. We ain't getting no NIL money. All right, that's number one. And when you got these coaches going into the portal, is the reason why they sitting there ain't got nowhere to go in the portal. So you go in there and get a guy that's been sitting there for 6 or 7 months, ain't got nowhere to go. So you bring them in, kill the culture of your whole team, because now you got 30 transfers. And they play football, and when the football's over, they gone. My thing is, I always say that if I had a job, which I ain't going to do with it right now. But if I was to take a job now, and knowing that, I'm just getting there and the program is down, what you do? You go out and get some young guys who want to play. They may not be 4 stars or 5 stars, but you got some 2 stars out there, got nowhere to go. You go out there and get you some linemen, some athletes. You can find athletes anyway. I don't care how you cut it up. And you come in, you let them play. Take your lumps the first year, take your lumps second year, but they going to grow up. And now, if you want to add or transfer here and there, that's a different. But the foundation is the most important thing, and I think that's what we missing now is the foundation of your football team.
How important was that G-man? Because we hear about that G-man culture, a Grambling man. When you speak about that, and when I was down at Grambling, sponsored Grambling, what I was most amazed about is how the players would come back and to your point, identify a guy in their town or city or that they coach and say he can be a G-man. Talk about what that culture and what that really meant. We got you speak about that.
First of all, you know where Grambling is located, right?
Off X81, absolutely.
he got to be one of them persons who can live in the country. He can live around that red clay and enjoy it and be glad in it. You know, I think it takes a special person sometimes to go to Grambling and stay. And just like coaches, you got to have a coach who want to be there, not just that because it's a job or a stepping stone. If you get a chance to go somewhere, that's fine. But you got to love Grambling, the G. You know, that's how I feel. I'm sure a lot of people who went that field, but it's unfortunate. It's, you know, me and Shaq Harris, we talk all the time about this. That field is not there anymore because you don't have the culture. You don't have them guys who grow up in it, the foundation. You know, you're just guys who coming in and getting out. So they don't understand the culture that we call it hollow ground. They don't understand the people who came before us, the Willie Brown, you know, the Buck Buchanan and Willie Davis and Charlie Jonas and James
Everson
Harris.
Walls.
Yeah, all of them. They don't understand that.
Now,
You talk, huh?
I just want to piggyback, and I want you to keep on going. You know, they call me old school, you know, because I don't forget them days, you know what I mean? The SWAC tour and all that. And you're just kind of going, tell the audience how important is, how do you move forward when you forget the past? The past is moving you forward.
You know, and then plus, you got to understand this too at the HBCU. There's a reason why they started the HBCU, because we couldn't go to their school. So you got to take that, man. That's passion. You got to have passion about the HBCU. So you got to cherish the culture that was built at HBCU. But now, you know, they don't think as much about it. You know, you get the presidents who, you know, they don't know anything about it. You bring in AD, don't give a shit about, excuse my friend, don't give one hoop about it. You know, they went to one school, now they just AD, they job, they tell you how to run it. So you forget about what HBCU really meant to us. I mean, you know, I'm old school, Johnny old school. It's going to always be to us what it's been. But the young guys who coming in and making all these decisions, they forget about that. And they don't want to talk to nobody about it. They don't want to ask anybody about it, how we go about doing it. So that's what we're dealing with.
Hey, Coach Williams, you mentioned something about taking your lumps a couple years before you see the fruits of your labor. One of the things that, since I've been watching HBCU sports pretty heavy the last 5 years, coaches don't get 3 years, Coach Williams. So how, if a guy takes lumps his first year, takes lumps his second year, he in the unemployment line by the time his third year come along.
If a new coach goes somewhere that the program been down and don't sign a 4-year contract or a 5-year contract, that's on him. You know, and you got to let the administration and AD know this is where we are. Now we want to get up here, but it's going to be rough. It's going to be tough. There's a couple of years we're going to have to live with this. You know, when I first went to Grambling in '98, we finished 5-6, but the program has been 3-8 for 2 straight years. 5-6 was improving. Next year we went 7-4. The next year we went on the run. So they got to give you their respect to say, you know, okay, this is how we're gonna do it, and they got to bear with you.
Now, Coach, I got two guys. I got Emmett Jones who watches this all the time, and you don't have to answer this because this is. I got a few questions for Doug Williams. If you will, please ask Doug Williams about the politics at Grambling, the internal infighting. Why did he leave Grambling twice, and why was Favre fired? Now I know, but you don't have to answer, Coach, if you don't want to. But let me say that. I'm gonna say this. On your 25th anniversary of winning the Super Bowl, you were let go after, was it the second or the third game?
Second game.
Instead of them putting together a fundraiser, Rocky and Mr. Campbell, they get rid of the first black quarterback instead of having the biggest fundraiser that you can have on his 25th anniversary. So as the politics of Grambling, we pivoting, you know, and I guess I can piggyback and ask this question too. I don't think that we as a conference lean on our not necessarily historians, but our legendary players like yourself.
Well,
Enough.
they don't
like
do enough. They don't do enough for the guys who played there. Right. So I think that's where it starts. You know, I say this all the time about Grambling. You know, hologram. You know, orientation. You know, I know every school got orientation when you're for freshmen. Right. You know, if I had orientation at Grambling State University, you know, the first thing I'm gonna do, all the athletes, baseball, football, and basketball, you know, the Willis Reeds of the world, all that has been through Grambling, you know, that's part of your class. You got to do something on all them guys to let you know where you really are. So that's history. And that's what orientation is, talk about Grambling along with them guys. You know, that's what I would do. But I'm not there, and I can't make those decisions because nobody want to listen.
Hey, Coach, let me jump in. Coach Williams said something, and I want to talk about the historical aspect of what he said. Coach, I want you to go back. You said you were in your dorm, and there was the coach. Do you all realize the coach he was talking about, the basketball gym is named after, and Coach Willis Reed? I want you to think about how amazing that is. That he talking about not only he played for a legendary coach, the assistant coach on the football team was a legendary basketball coach, that Coach Willis Reed.
And look, I didn't say exactly what he told me. I just made it nice. They know what he told me in that room now. If you know Fred Hoppy ain't nice. You know, he wasn't going to just say, boy, get out of there. No, that ain't what he said.
Yeah. Well, Doug, why did you leave Grambling twice?
The first time was doing a contract. I'm going to talk about that. And the AD at that time didn't believe that Tampa Bay offered me an opportunity to come. John Gruden, I had went down the year before they won the Super Bowl, spoke to the team, and John asked me, you know, did I want to come and work for him? I said, nah, John, I'm having fun at Grambling, man. And I coached that following year. John called me again. And I went to the AD and told him, say, look, you know, I got a chance to go to Tampa, you know, and they didn't believe it. And then one of the alumni said, hell, let it go. So you know what? I went to Tampa, went down there, signed the contract, came back. And then they realized I was gone. And then the lady who was over the board of supervisors in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a white lady named Sally Clausen. And at that time, Grambling was going through a whole lot of stuff with a whole lot of things. And Sally Clausen gave him the runaround. She told him, how you going to let somebody, the most positive thing you got going at Grambling, get away? And Sally Clausen and 5 other board members flew to Tampa. They flew to Tampa and sat with Bruce Allen in his office and wanted to know, you know, can we get Doug back, you know? And I'll be honest with you, I told Bruce, I said, no. I told Bruce before he had the meeting, I said, nah, I'm going to stay here, man. I said, because I had a chance to stay. They didn't want me to stay. You know, I love Grambling. I would have stayed a lifetime. Yeah. And
well, I was going to ask you that when you took over as the head job, was you looking to say, okay, Eddie stayed, you know, here, I could do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead on it.
Look, I talked with the University of Kentucky. Who's the coach that coached at the Rams before he came to Kentucky? You know who I'm talking about. He was at Oregon too. He was at Oregon, then he went to the Rams. But anyway, I interviewed for the University of Kentucky, and a reporter said, "Man, I think you're gonna get the job." You know, but I'm at Grambling right after the Bayou Classic, and the next morning he called me. He said Brooks was the guy. Mm-hmm. He said they're gonna get a job to Brooks. I said, man, that's fine with me. I said I'm happy where I am. You know, and Burns, who was the AD at the time, he had worked for Brooks out at Oregon State. So he was obligated to give Brooks the job at the University of Kentucky. And, you know, but that never bothered me because I was in on Grambling. Man, I love Grambling. I would have stayed there a lifetime. Even the second time I would have stayed there. That's why I came back. You know, But that's the way it goes, and some people don't look at it from the same lens that you look in.
You know, one of the things you said last time you were on the show, and it was very poignant the way that you said it. And I went back and listened to it several different times, and you just kind of repeated what you said. You said if it was up to you, you would retire, you still be at Grambling coaching if you had your way. Now, I'm not saying that you want to coach at Grambling right now, but that was your sentiments at the time when you were the head coach at Grambling, and it lets me know that we do have men of great character and great influence who want to work and provide the same level of support and leadership that once Eddie Robinson did, or Marino Chasm, or W.C. Gordon. There are men that want to do that, such as yourself, but for whatever reason, the institution doesn't see fit for that to happen anymore.
But
do you have any input as to why that's very difficult now?
No, I mean, I love Grambling, but you know what I enjoy more than anything, and I think the same reason why Coach Robinson coach, Chasm coach, Johnnie coach is dealing with the young men. You know what soothes me more than anything now? When I get a chance to go back to Grambling to a game or what have you, and I run into the guys that I coach, you know, and they got their wives and their family and stuff, and they come back, and, you know, then they say, thank you, coach. You know, you might have been hard on them. They probably think you was too hard on them, but now they say, thank you, coach. You know, I get calls all the time. I got a guy named Mark Hall. Mark Hall called me once a month, you know, and Mark work out all these professional guys, but he checking on me. Jason Hatcher calls me all the time. You know, to me, at my age and my stage of my life, that's the most important thing to me, is to know that I touched somebody during that time. And then, you know, I enjoy coaching, man. That was it.
I know we can't keep you long, man. You know, hey, we up in them years now. One question, Coach. I always say, we got SWAC TV right now. I think it's wonderful. I think it's great, but I think we could really do better. I think if black colleges get together, especially back in your years, y'all sold out everything. Everywhere y'all went, y'all sold it out. New York, Houston, Japan, everywhere y'all went.
Detroit, you know.
I just think that if the MEAC and the SWAC get together and put together their classic games, where you're gonna see 50, 60,000 every weekend, that we could get a $500 million contract from somewhere. The way the SEC has done it, Notre Dame has done it. The SWAC TV, man, is wonderful. You know, I believe in it. I think Mr. McCullen has done a wonderful job but I just think that's I don't want to use the word peanuts because it's good and it's great, but I just think we can go get something much, much greater.
Right.
How's your take on that? When you look back with all the fan base you had, everywhere y'all went, Coach, y'all was sold out everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. You know, that was a lot of the
and that was
games.
40 years ago, Coach.
But we had, first of all, you had a great SID who sold the university. Then you had Eddie Robinson. You know, I go all the way back.
Don't forget him.
Al's been working at Grambling for 40-some years, especially in Dallas. I mean, I talk to Al all the time. That's my guy. And just like 1974, when they started the Bayou Classic, man, nobody thought that first Bayou Classic in 1974, when we had 80,000 people at Tulane Stadium. That was unheard of. That's when all the Classic really started. But I'm with you. I think with the two conferences, with the MEAC and the SWAC, you know, they should find a way to cross-play each other in a Classic game, each other. And at the end, everybody got an open date somewhere. You find, you know, you can win 1 or 2 games, what have you. And that'd be a Classic thing, and sell that whole package to some TV station to know that we're going to put this on every week. We got 3 games that are cross session, SWAC and the MEAC. Yeah, I think you got to be able to do that. But, you know, it's hard when everybody got their own. It's hard, you know. SWAC TV. I hadn't had a chance to watch much SWAC TV. I've been looking at HBCU Go. You know, I see the game on, stuff like that.
Yeah. I talked with the executive today, and we're gonna get him back on the show. But I just think that's the ticket, man. I mean, Notre Dame started it off. SEC does it now. Now the Big Ten, and they get $1 billion contracts, coach.
Yeah, but look how many teams they're getting them all in there. The Big
Yeah,
Ten, they getting all them schools that can bring money, and
yeah.
that give the TV companies an opportunity to pay more money because we got all these people to look at.
But Coach Cole, this is one of the things that I've learned just through my research, and maybe Mr. Campbell can talk about this. We had people in black media telling the stories of what happened each week in HBCU football from a national landscape, whether it was the Philadelphia, the Pittsburgh, there were these black
Pittsburgh
newspapers,
Courier. Yeah.
Pittsburgh Courier. They were telling these stories about what was happening in the South with these big games. That has been lost. And what we really have now is these YouTube platforms that really cater to an already captured audience. And there's not a media coverage that goes out and propagates those stories about players such as yourself that are currently playing. I think we need a platform that highlights stars such as yourself, whether it be Shaq Harris, whether it be Everson Walls, many of the Grambling greats, some type of national platform show that gives you guys an opportunity to talk about your schools, tell the stories, and incorporate the guys that are playing now in those very stories. And that's reliving what you guys did so many years before. If we could have a platform like that would, because you and Everson Walls, all those guys, Shaq Harris, you would bring the NFL fan bases to the HBCU to an HBCU platform that could tell the stories and share what you guys love so much, which is HBCU football. It would be essentially cross promoting the HBCU story against to the masses, but we don't have anything like that. And I wish we could build something like that could really highlight those players the way you guys were highlighted by those black media companies many years ago.
Let me say this. I think now too, with especially with me and Shaq, and Art Shell and Willie Lanier and Mel Blunt, with the Black College Football Hall of Fame. One thing we talk about all the time is you look at all the people that's on that board, we getting old as hell. See, some young guys got to come in and take the torch. That's the key.
Me. No, I'm just kidding, coach.
See, somebody got to come in and keep it going. Not only from the Black College Football Hall of Fame, but the Legacy Bowl, all that. You got to have somebody younger that understands, what we're trying to do and try to keep going. Because this ain't just for me and Shaq. This for us. For HBCUs, Black America, man. And that's why we need to get out and support things like this, because we're going to keep it going. If we don't keep it going, who else going to keep it going?
Hey, that's why we need to bring guys like Bruce Eugene on the show, Coach, because he's a young coach, isn't he? Doesn't Bruce Eugene coach football somewhere in America?
He's coaching high school in New Orleans.
Yeah, tell them what you guys have done. Y'all have your own section in the Hall of Fame.
Let me tell you, we just left that last week before last Labor Day weekend, and we sat down with the executive director of the Hall of Fame, and we talked about they doing a whole rehab of the whole Hall of Fame. They redoing the whole thing, and we got a place in there. And like he said, it ain't about money; it's about doing it out. All we got to do is get all of the paraphernalia, like stuff from Grambling I played in. They want to build a little thing to showcase that. But being in the NFL Hall of Fame, they don't understand. Black folks don't really understand what this is all about. Because we talked to the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta before we even got into the NFL Hall of Fame. And what they told us was they didn't want a Hall of Fame within a Hall of Fame. And they wanted to give us a corner in the room, a little corner. I mean, I'm talking about probably, I don't know, but they want to put the cheerleaders, the band, and all the players in one little corner. And I remember me and Shaq was at the meeting with the lawyers and stuff, and the guy who's running the College Football Hall of Fame, and I told him, I say, hey man, I said, let me say this. I can't go to Mel Blunt. I can't go to Arshell. I can't go to Willia and tell him we got a corner in the Hall of Fame. And the thing about that, Arthur Blank had given them $1 million for us to be in there. See, Arthur Blank been one of our biggest supporters of Black College Football Hall of Fame. We wouldn't have got started if it wasn't for Arthur Blank and another guy named John Piara. You know, that's how we got started. The money that Arthur Blank afforded us from the start. And we've grown since that time. And now, you know, we got the classic game, we got plays up in Canton, you know, we got the induction, the Legacy Bowl, all that. Like me and Shaq always say, you talking about two old country boys from Louisiana don't have two plug nickels. And we working with the NFL, you know, and things like that. So, you know, that's letting us know that people want us to succeed, but we got to want to do the same thing.
You know, you talk about that Hall of Fame game. I don't know if you guys have a multi-year contract with the schools that currently play in it, but do you have a dream matchup that you'd like to see in that game?
Let me tell you about that. We had dream matchup, but you know, we called every school, SWAC, MEAC, what have you, trying to get them to come to play in this game. Now, don't get me wrong, we don't have a $500,000. We don't have $300,000. All we offer you, you know, we can give you something. We can pay for your expenses, put $150, $200 in your pocket, and you playing in the Hall of Fame game. But, you know, we big time. SWAC and MEAC, we big time. That ain't enough money for us. So what we did was, you know what? This is what we'll do. We'll take the winners from the CIAA and the SIAC every year. And the good thing about it, the crowd not big now, but the good thing about it, if you look at our ratings from the NFL and NFL Network, we had 221,000 households. The matchup in the MEAC and the SWAC matchup, you know what they was? 73,000 households. There's a difference. We got national exposure with NFL Network, and remember, they don't have nothing else to put on. So that's good for them, live TV. So they had 221,000.
Right. Well, Grambling and Jackson State game is on the NFL Network as well in Las Vegas.
Well, now from a business standpoint, both games will be owned by ESPN. So ain't no telling who gonna play in them now, because now the NFL Network is owned by ESPN. So with that being a partner in in the game, who knows who may play in it?
Right. Yeah, but NFL Network, I'm just looking at the game. We would love, we had Tennessee State and Grambling. And that was a decent
big
game.
time. That's big time.
I was at that. Wasn't that the first one? I was at that game.
That was the first one. That's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's big time.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, man, I know we got to let you go, Doug. We could talk all night, man. You one of my favorites, man. And,
appreciate that, brother.
I appreciate all the information you've given us. One of the guys, you guys got anything we need to let Coach get on?
I just want to say thank you Coach Williams, for joining us tonight, man. Each and every time you come on has been a treat for me, and I want to personally thank you for coming on with us.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Coach, and I just want to say, as somebody that grew up watching you, as like I say, saw you come into Jackson and beat Jackson State a couple of times.
Jackson beat me one time though.
Well, they did.
They kicked men. Who was talking about? We was talking about Raul Brazil. We was talking about 1975. You're right.
Wow. Now that team was loaded though, Coach. Now that team was loaded.
Yeah, but you know what? In 1974, they had my freshman year. They had Raul Brazil, Jack and Slater. We all was together 2 weeks ago. Jack and Slater, Vernon Perry, Walter Payton, and Eddie Payton. And then Ricky Young. I forgot about Ricky Young on that team.
Wow.
I was a freshman. And Coach Rob told me, he said, whatever you do, don't throw that ball to 52. And just before halftime, I was thinking what Coach Rob had told me. And just before halftime, I hit Rob Brazil in the chest.
Did he catch it or
he caught it. But we ended up beating him, though. We ended up beating him 24-14. Because we were loaded, too, now. we had Big Hand Johnson and Robert Bob and we were loaded too. So it was just one of those things.
It's interesting that, this is just a side note, that I think it's appropriate, honestly, Coach Williams, for the HBCU Hall of Fame to be NFL Hall of Fame, because you cannot tell the story of the NFL without mentioning HBCUs. Pro football was literally innovated through HBCUs and the players that came from those schools, man. It was transformed. The game was transformed.
That's exactly what David Baker, who used to be the executive director, when we first went in, that's the first thing he told us, that you can't tell a story without HBCUs.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right, man, we're in it there, man. Thank you again, Coach, man. Every time I call you, you right there. You never act too big. You are a giant. And, hopefully, man, you get your flowers above the ground. You've done a lot for HBCUs, and I can't say enough, man. I mean, my cheeks grow when I get a chance to talk to a legend as you are. I appreciate you, and thank you for coming on our show.
My pleasure, man. Y'all be good.
Woo, man.
Coach, is there anybody you don't know in the world of HBCU sports?
Coach, man, I'm blessed. That's just a blessing, man, to be able to, I can just call him anytime, Coach, and we'll talk on the phone, man, and just kind of, talk about the day and what's going on. I've had Jay Skywalker just called me. I thought maybe we could bring him back on the show, just talk about, what's going on and what's happening. And maybe we might meet him, Bishop. He'd be probably better in the middle of the year, because he got so many games that he can start talking with us about giving us some insight on some of the games that he covers. So, I mean, man, we blessed, man. I'm blessed with you two guys, man. And you guys are great. We moving ahead, but I know we got some stuff to talk about before we get off, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to go through, last week, it was pretty much what we had to deal with. It was a money weekend. We did have two matchups.
A lot of money games.
Yeah. And it was a lot of talk about money games. And this is when I'll let Campbell kind of give the synopsis of what the conversation has been about the last couple of weeks while I'm getting ready to bring the scores up about the money game.
Okay.
Well, I want to talk about one thing that I saw, and let me get that set up as we talk about it. Coach Gibbs,
is he talking low to you, or is just me?
No, I can hear him fine.
Okay.
Yeah, Coach Gibbs had a press conference, and he talked about the money game. And I wanted to play that for everybody. People didn't get a chance to see that because I thought it was interesting, his point of view. And also I found it interesting because North Carolina A&T had in their run of championship run had beat FBS teams. So let me get this up, and we'll talk about it on the other side once I get this up. Let's get this up here.
Now, Coach, did you have any hard, fast rules? Because you've been in this situation about scheduling money games. And I know me and you have talked in great detail about those, and you had really hard, fast rules about those matchups and how you were very strategic in making those matchups. Could you go over some of those guidelines that you used to make those matchups so that it didn't impact your team or your brand as more severely as it sometimes could?
No, number one thing, these games have been going on at predominantly white schools for years, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, for financial growth and financial need. Black colleges got on them late, you know what I mean? And one of the things with me is my rule number one is I'm not playing a team in the state, because that's where I got to recruit at. If I'm going to play a team, I'm going to play a team out of the state that the game means something. Number three is that, and here's the problem, and when Cam will bring it up, here's the problem. I hadn't heard your Gibbs station, but here's the problem. if the money doesn't go to the football program, to me, I think it's necessary that you play money games, guys. But if the money don't go to the football program, then I think that it's a waste of time and a waste of error. Then me personally, when I took money games, I was getting 10% of the purse. Because, yes, we're going to play money games 9 times, 99.9 times you're going to lose. And that loss is going to go to me and my career. So at least I can make some money off of it to take this loss, not necessarily just there and then now, you know, I got a loss on my record.
So you made them pay you personally for that L.
Yes.
That's interesting, Coach. I'll go ahead and bring this up since Campbell got it up. Okay. You can go ahead and play it whenever you're ready, Campbell.
I mean, honestly, for our team, I don't think it's worth it.
Can you turn it up, Coach?
I think it's worth it. I mean, we've got 60-plus points put on us, and we lost.
Hold on.
You know, for me, it was a good environment, great platform, but is that worth it?
Can you guys hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it.
I mean, honestly,
turn it up.
For
that's where lives are going to go, Coach. You got to have to turn your speaker up. Hold on, let me start over. Hold on.
Well, you probably go. Is the audience hearing? That's more important.
Yeah. They can hear it. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
I mean, honestly, for our team, I don't think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. I mean, we've got 60-plus points put on us, and we lost 3 quarterbacks. So, you know, for me, yeah, it was a good environment, great platform, but is that worth it? I don't know. I mean,
so there you go. So you got the coach saying, hey, listen, got paid, but lost 3 quarterbacks. So, you know, these are things that, you know, I found it interesting because, and this is how things changed, Coach, reason why I brought this up. Now, when A&T had that bomb squad, they had no problem, and they had that great video of Sam Watson saying, now give me my money after they had beaten Eastern Carolina. I believe that was Eastern Carolina they had played and won. And now you've got where now they have hit rock bottom where, hey, you know what? We don't have the type of talent. We don't want to play these type of teams, and we're getting hurt. So, you know, one of the things I wanted to just say, where is the balance at? Where we feel that we do have to play this game, but to his point, well, we don't want to get guys hurt. You had Mickey Joseph, who went to Ohio State, and the whole thing, he got those guys in there, got them out, and got $1 million.
Yeah. No, you know, but see, you know, once again, here's the situation. If the money is not going back to the football program, you know, that's where I lose it at. You know, I know Emmett said, well, Cole, if you play an in-state team, you don't have to pay for travel. Well, the money don't go to football anyway. So if I'm going to take a game, I want my kids to get on the plane for the first time, stay in first-class hotels, travel to a Division I school, and see big things. You know what I mean? So if I'm going to play a money game and then the money ain't coming back to me, at least me and my players get to enjoy some of it.
You know, Coach, one of the things that as I've been doing a deep dive into collegiate sports and how it's funded, right? Most athletic departments operate in a deficit, right? Yeah. I want to say a guy said of the 60 Division I public schools that have to publicly file. And this is when I say Division I, maybe FBS. Let's use FBS schools. 37 of them lose money in athletics, and it's only 60 of them that have to file public reports because 60 of them are state schools. Right. The other 117 are private schools, right? So they don't have to open their books and let anybody know whether they're making or losing money. So 37 of them are losing money. So here's the conundrum though. I would like football and men's basketball to be taken out of that budget, because if you just evaluate those two sports, those are not the sports that are losing money. Because guess what? Football, most of those schools, 60 to 70% of the revenue comes from football. Most athletic departments, 60 to 70%. Then there's another 20% that comes from men's basketball. 4 to 5% comes from women's basketball. And then the rest of the 6% comes from all of the other sports. And I like to call those sports welfare sports. Yeah, I'm saying this to you, Coach, and how you kind of just when you were essentially the cash cow supporting all of the other sports, the Olympic sports, as well as many other, Title IX sports or whatever. Is that overburdening the football program in your opinion? And I'd like to get Campbell's input as a businessman of how this framework is actually, in my estimation, I think it's misrepresenting what's really going on in collegiate athletics. But you go ahead and answer first, Coach. Do you think it's overburdening football to support the entire athletic department?
Well, I just know this. The school fronted my football program $400,000 to get it going. Scholarships, salaries, travel. And so my whole thought was, or when I play a money game, I think I played Rutgers gave me $405,000. We played Connecticut, they gave us another 300 some thousand. I'm thinking, why can't we ever take that money back and put it away for the next year? And then the next year, after 4 or 5 years, you should have over $1 million put away to start your football program over. So now any monies that the football program make, the basketball program make, goes to the other sports. But there's always that startup money where we ain't got to buy or borrow from the school that can go to non-revenue sports. I don't know why they do it that way. I've talked to other athletic directors about that. And some reason that's what they do. They front that football program money out the door, because I know one thing, as a state school, you got to have a zero balance at the end of the year.
Well, here's what they may front you the money, Coach, but it's only a paperwork shuffle, because
yes.
It's only a paperwork shuffle. They front you the money, but your overall revenue that's generated through football, they front you $400,000, and that pays for your travel, throughout the season or whatever, your helmets, whatever, shoulder pads, whatever. And then you get one big check for $400, and then another big check for $300, and you ain't even sold no tickets or took in any donations on behalf of football. So there's still some more revenue to be created.
Right.
I'll just ask Campbell, somebody who's been involved in fundraising and been able to maybe see how the sausage is made. Do you think football is overburdened with the responsibility of supporting collegiate athletics?
Well, here's the problem. And this is never going to change. These are universities. This is not the NFL. It's not a pro league. And those universities, first and foremost, to educate. And that includes men and women. So that's part of, as they say, that's what you sign up for. So while people sit back and say, hey, this is not fair, but again, the college first and foremost is to educate both men and women. So I understand the part what you're saying from a sports standpoint, but again, colleges just don't operate like businesses, and they just can't. And thank God for, honestly, on some of that they don't, because again, I saw somebody, and this was mentioned in another show, that said, hey, some of these schools need to drop down to D2, and I said, no, they can't do that. I said, do you know how many black people get educated because they got a scholarship playing football and basketball? So the mission statement still, I know Ohio State is football factories and Alabama football factories, but still, unfortunately, they still are university and the education is formal. So I think you're never going to solve that problem where you're going to be. And but also, Rocky, let's be clear too, because they are not businesses. Ohio State is not broke as a university. You see what I'm saying? That I don't think people really understand that money. That I just looked it up. Ohio State made, and I know what I'm talking about. This ain't no money. Total revenue of athletics, $251 million. Do you know what their endowment is? Do you know they have people that give them $300-400 million just to the school? So athletics is such a small part of the overall functionality of a university. To be honest with you, you got people that donate to the library $400-500 million. So we as people that love sports, I think we really overemphasize the amount when you look at the overall budgets of these universities.
Well, me and you may have to come on and have that debate one-on-one because ain't nobody turning. There's a reason why they signed a $1.something billion media rights deal. They not turning no money down. It's not turning money down. But I'm trying to tell you, they are getting R1 status money. Well, they're getting over $500-600 million in academic research money.
Well, that's what one thing I wanted to do was get Paul, my homeboy from Alabama AM, AD, and the guy from Prairie View to come on and, talk about that. The fans need to know about that and why it's so important to donate money to the university, to the school.
Now, Coach, I know you in a tight crunch, so we gonna get through these scores from last week and talk a little bit about next week, Coach. One theme of this week you're gonna see is the blacks couldn't beat the whites this week. So we're just gonna go through this. Jackson State wasn't able to beat Mississippi, Southern Miss. Mississippi Valley got drove by Tarleton State. And in what I consider an upset, Rio Grande Valley beat Prairie View at home.
Can I say, Coach, too? Hey, man, I'm sorry to the people that's watching. I said that would be an easy game for Prairie View. I got my UT Rio Grande and UT Basin and some of these small schools. I didn't do my homework. This school is actually a Division 1A school that plays in the South.
They just jumped. No, Coach, this was supposed to be no, Coach. You were right. This school did not have a football team.
Yeah.
Okay, they didn't have a football team, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about this. So no, you were right. And I'm sorry, but like I say, Coach Jackson did a great. If anybody watched the conference call, he took full. Prairie View should have won this game. Point blank. Period. Now I'm not going to sugarcoat that.
Yeah, they spotted them 17, but like you say, and this school just started this program in Division 1 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they had a quarterback that had, if you look at his pedigree, he was a real player. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I want to say he was a fifth-year senior. He's a real player.
Okay.
He came from somewhere. But anyway, in the whites beating the blacks, furthermore, we had Grambling took 70 from Ohio State. We had Bethune-Cookman play the University of Miami and take 45. We had your Texas Southern Tigers traveled out to California, Berkeley, and got beat 35-3. And Florida A&M, your Rattlers, went down to Miami and took it on the chin, 56-14. But these last these two games right here, and we'll just mention that Arkansas Pine Bluff took a butt whipping from Central Arkansas. And Central Arkansas is a FCS school, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they in the same division. So with these two games right here, now I must admit, I did not watch the Alcorn Alabama A&M game. Didn't watch one down of it. But I did see where Cornelius Brown, or Quad, as he's affectionately known, he put on a clinic as a quarterback. And for Alabama A&M was 25 of 35 for 260 yards, 3 touchdowns. Also ran 7 times for 69 yards and ran 2 of them in the paint. So, Coach, does it get any better than that, Coach, from a quarterback perspective?
Man, that's what you want to have, efficiency, man. You want that quarterback to be able to extend them plays, and when the protection breaks down, to make sure he can go get you a first down. I mean, that's big. You know, when you can get out of that pocket and get up the field and keep that chains moving.
Now, as a Mississippi guy, I'll let you talk about Alcorn and what you thought about their performance, Campbell.
Well, let me say that I actually watched the game, so let's roll that back. So
Okay.
I actually watched this game, and one of the things I want to say, hey, Alabama A&M, the crowd was electric. They were excited. And first of all, let's say, hey, shout out to a friend of the show, Sam Shea, getting his first victory. You know, that I think that is huge, and I think you could already see what he's building. Again, I know the offense is like a little bit ahead of the defense, but one of the things that I think that, and Coach Cedric Thomas, I think one of the things that, and he talked about this on his show, while I think he's gotten players, I think they're just not executing. And I think that has hurt Alcorn these last two games. There are plays that Alcorn has had where they closed the gap because Alabama State was up a little bit, and then Alcorn came back, closed the gap. Looks like they were going to tighten the game up, and then I think Alabama A&M scored that last touchdown to really push them out and everything. But one of the things that I just want to say, looking at this going forward, Alabama A&M is going to be a dangerous team this year. They are going to be very dangerous. And like I said, Quad Brown, like I said, I think was SWAC player of a week this year, this week for offense. Hey, man, I think it's going to be big things that's going to happen. So, again, if Coach Sam Shea can get that defense tightened down, it is going to be very interesting up there in Huntsville.
Yeah. I know,
You know, the Magic City Classic is shaping up as a real quarterback duel if both of those guys can stay healthy. You want to say anything else, Coach, about that matchup?
No,
before we move on?
I mean, it doesn't surprise us with Sam Shade. I know Coach Thomas is trying to put his team together. You know, two good teams, man.
Yeah. And in the game I watched pretty much, even from Mexico. I found an old pirated streamer who was streaming this game because I didn't realize that ESPN Plus doesn't work in Mexico. So I'm going to have to talk to ESPN Plus about that. I should be able to get it in Mexico. But anyway, I watched every down of this, man. I thought this was a sensational game by Andrew Body, though I'll put it like this. He wasn't precise as he was against Alabama UAB, but he was still very effective, and he definitely took what the defense gave him, and to the point to where he was 16 of 25 for 196. One of the things about this game that I saw is they weren't going to let Andrew run the football. You know what I mean? They pretty much, didn't they rush 5 guys most of the time against Andrew, and they just pretty much stood at the line of scrimmage and tried to wall him off where he couldn't run or scramble. It was a very interesting defense that they were running against Andrew. But I will say this, Andrew was not able to take advantage down the field the way he was against UAB. And Southern really played them tough for a half. And then those opportunities that they missed in the first half, Andrew was able to capitalize on them.
Really, what can we say about Southern? They are what we thought they were.
Yes.
Same team, different actions. You know what I mean? Play tough. You know what I'm saying? It's just that they're not letting them come back in the second half.
This was I thought one of those games like last year when they played FAMU, when they played Jackson State, and when they played anybody who was considered to be a good team. It almost like they have in the past 2 years they hadn't showed up. Now, I don't know if you know the latest development, Coach, about what's happening on the Bluff. The OC has been
Campbell.
Yeah.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes.
What is he over there doing, Coach? Smoking cigars?
Can you hear me?
Because we can hear Rocky perfectly. I don't know if you can't hear him. We can hear him. He was about to ask you a question.
I can hear him now.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Coach, I was going to ask you, do you know the latest update of what's happening over in the Bluff, over there in Baton Rouge? Mark Frederick, the OC, has been, I don't know if you call it demoted as play caller, but Fred McNair has been given the title as co-offensive coordinator and will be calling the plays for the rest of the season. What do you think about that development, Coach, on the Bluff?
I just don't think it's a winning formula. You still got the same players. I don't like it. I don't like how it tastes, how it is. But it is what it is, and you just got to go with it. I've never been in a situation like that, whether I was on the staff or whether I was a coordinator or not.
So you've never switched to defensive play calling? I know you've always been an offensive play caller, so I know you wouldn't fire yourself. But what about the defensive play caller?
Not at all. I would take the responsibility as a head coach and actually sit down on what they're doing. I think personally they need to go with a 2-back set, 3 wide receivers, and give the ball to that tailback from LSU, and have that other quarterback with some bootleg stuff and just keep the game sound and solid instead of running the spread and you ain't got spread people.
Now Campbell, I'd like to get your input on this because you had your opinions about Southern coming into this season that were met with a considerable backlash. Has anything happened in the 3 games that they've played to change your opinion about what you thought coming into the season?
Absolutely not, because I knew what the issue was going to be, which was they were going to have a problem at the quarterback, which they still do. They had 4 turnovers, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions, and they just have not been able to win these games. And like Coach said, I think the offensive system that they're trying to run with the player they got doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit. And unfortunately for them, and this is the thing about, again, see, let me tell you something, and I'm going to say this because there are a couple of teams that are in the danger zone. FAMU, Southern, Alcorn. Every one of these next couple of games are big games for these coaches for a plethora of reasons. So there's no need to hide in it. Like I said, we don't have to hide what is reality. So for Southern, again, they're going to lose to Fresno State. They've all lost to Alabama State, and they got to play Jackson State. That's 1-4. That's 1-4. So again, they've got Coach McNair that's going to try to switch it up. Again, they've demoted the other guy, Coach Frederick. Mark Frederick. They've demoted him. So again, I think sometimes you just got to do that. That's part of the things. You got to switch it up because as they're practicing every day, they're saying, hey, we should be better. That's what Coach Gray said. We got talent. I'm not going to argue with them on that. I mean, I believe they do have talent, but I believe it doesn't fit what they're trying to do. So I think it's a very dangerous thing. And again, what I really like, and let's talk about Alabama State. Again, lost 10 starters on defense. One guy, number 3, that came back, SWAC preseason all-conference. That defense came to play. And you saw what only 7 points being put on the board. And the thing about it with Andrew, like you said, some of those throws, and I think one of the things that I know that work with Andrew, if he can get more accurate, that offense is going to explode. And that's the thing about it. But what you also saw, Rocky, is they ran for 170 plus yards, and Andrew didn't have to carry the leg work up there. And honestly, I think that's what they want. They don't want him to be running for 100 unless it's necessary to win the game. I think this type of game, if you told Coach E-Rob, I'm going to get 30 and Andrew will run for 60 yards, he'll take it every time.
What was interesting about this game to me is that Andrew had what I would consider a good game, and Southern was still able to. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even competitive, in my opinion. You know what I mean? It wasn't even competitive. I think in these 3 games, Mississippi Valley ain't showing up again until they take a trip to Bethune-Cookman. And I'll ask you this, Coach, and then we'll move on to next week. Will will Bethune-Cookman be able to put up enough fight to potentially threaten a loss in that game, potentially leaving Southern 1-5?
Well, you'll see where the level at Southern's at. Maybe they are at a Bethune-Cookman level. You know what I'm saying? And, that's going to be a good game. I don't think Southern going to walk in and just beat the heck out of Bethune-Cookman. We'll see. They should, but I don't think so.
But what they'll tell you, they got everything in front of them. They haven't lost the conference game yet. So that's what Southern's going to say.
Yeah, well.
Which I love Coach Jackson's answer to that when, Wayne Cartwright asked him about that. And he said, hey, that's not our standard with you. If there are games we're supposed to win, we're supposed to win. And I like that.
Right.
Yeah, I can you guys hear me? I had a
Yeah.
I just think overall that Southern and Terrence Graves is in big trouble, and I think he's coaching for his head coaching life right now, and that's why I think he leaned on a championship coach to help him turn the season around, like Fred McNair. And whether it works or not, I have no idea, but I think in some way I kind of agree with his decision to do something to shake up this season, because the way it's going, Coach, he's going to be in the unemployment line next year if it continues on the path it's on.
I just look at it different. The power play is the power play. Whose offense is it? Is it Mark Frederick's offense? Is it Coach the head coach, Coach Gray's offense, or is it Fred McNair's offense? How well does Fred McNair know it? What about the terminology? Because remember now, Fred came into Southern. He ain't been there, and I know for a fact that if I went in somewhere, I would want to, terminology-wise, to know to either give a chance of learning the terminology or use it, depends on when I come in there, to either put my terminology in or not. When you get in clutch situations and you've been doing things one way for a long time, then it changes. So we'll see. At the end of the day, we'll see. I don't like wholesale changes. I don't. I'm a system guy.
Well, Coach, Southern has struggled for the better part of a year and 3 games on offense, Coach.
Yeah.
I don't blame Terrence Graves for trying to change it up.
Well, I'm not blaming him either, because at the end of the day, it's his team. I'm just saying, hey, look, I don't want to be on Graves now. Don't point me on Graves. I always speak from, my point of view. But I get it. I just don't agree with that move.
All right, Coach. We're going to move on to next week, Coach, in the SWAC.
Wait a minute. Before we do that, we gotta acknowledge this. Shout out to Sean Jackson, because Coach, we all called it that we.
Oh yeah.
They won that game, and I'm gonna tell you something again. Scotty said him is over on her, but I've always said what I saw about that young man and the level of his press conference, and I think we have to understand how intelligent Deshaun Jackson is. And I'm telling you, they're building something over there at Delaware State. And that is a very big victory. If you look at the teams with Alcorn losing to Northwestern, bad loss. Prairie View losing to Rio Grande Valley, bad loss. And then for his team to beat Albany, I think that needs to be pointed out. And I think they're going to be very dangerous. So I just want to point that out before we move on.
Hey, since we went over there, let's go ahead and deal with, we know Howard. But I'm really disappointed about this outing that North Carolina Central had. I haven't even looked at the box score, but I can tell by the score Walker Harris didn't play very well. Let me just take a look at the box score and see what happened.
And this portion of the show is Rocky Miller's Walker Harris hate section. Here we go.
Again, I hadn't even looked at the box score. I had no idea. But he was 12 of 26 for 101 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Now, I never coached in the SWAC at all. nothing like that, Coach. But from my novice examination of these statistics, that ain't good, Coach.
Well,
13 to 26 for 101 yards and 2 interceptions.
that's not. Oh no, those numbers are not good at all. I'm gonna have to talk to Trey Oliver off the camera. Sometimes you're too loyal to a fault. Now I'm getting word that they got a backup quarterback that can really, really make things happen. You know what I mean? And I think he's loyal to this Harris kid. The kid is a North Carolina Central guy. He grew up in the program.
And Coach, we got to mention these last 2 games. Since we over here, Virginia State. Hey Coach, you warned us about this was going to be a game, and if it wasn't for Otto, the Magic Man, pulling this one out, this is literally, Coach. Remember, we all grew up watching the wild world of sports, and Otto literally pulled out this victory out of the jaws of defeat. Because they were losing this game by multiple scores, and they put in the backup quarterback Otto, and he was 13 or 20 for 173 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he pulled that defeat out of the jaws of victory.
Yeah, what was it? 20? What is it? 16-0 at halftime.
It was 16-7, and then it was 9 to 23 at one point.
Oh wow.
And mind you, Virginia State had the game won with the last second kick, and they hit the crossbar. So that was how close this game was for Virginia State to win it. And one of the things that's going to be interesting, and I'm going to tell you something. When you're looking at Norfolk, here's the positive. They had 20,000 people in that barn. They're going to get people into those games, which is awesome. But one of the things I still don't see, and again, I know that's a work in progress, and I think we're always looking for too much for these coaches. But once again, I think defense is still a problem with Norfolk State. And I still, even with the offense, I think defense is where the real issue is at.
Coach, but let me ask you this here, Coach. How do you run for 237 yards and trail most of the game?
Well, you got to be making those 3rd down conversions. Number one.
Let me see what we got here, Coach. I'm going to go to team stats.
Let's look at the turnover ratio.
Coach, you know where to look. Again, last week we knew they were 3 for 15 on 3rd down conversions. This week they were 4 for 13.
That's not good. That's not good. That's not good offense. You want to be 40% on 3rd down conversions. At least.
And as you stated, Coach, they had 2 turnovers as well.
That'll kill you every time.
So in the grand scheme of things, the game was played close. But and they let another quarterback carve him up real good too, Coach. He was 21 for 42 for 299. He gave up plenty.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think Vic got some work to do, but congratulations to one of my all-time favorite NFL players, Coach Mike Vick, man, for getting his first victory at Norfolk State. Next, I want him to get a Division I victory. And then this game was this next game we're going to talk about, the Townsend traveling to Morgan State. Some people tell me this is really 2 teams in the same city playing one another.
Yeah.
But
crosstown rivalry.
But Morgan State put up a much better fight than Norfolk did last week.
Well, they actually played to Morgan State's strength. Morgan State is a great defensive program, and Townsend State like to pound. So, I know the game didn't last long because Townsend like to run it, and Morgan State plays pretty good defense.
Well, looking at Townsend's stats, they tried to run it. They weren't able to. And statistically, it looks like Morgan State, again, won the game. Statistically, they threw for 200, ran for 200. Whereas Townsend threw for 186, ran for 63. So let's go look at the team stats. Let's figure this one out, Coach.
Turnovers, baby, turnovers.
Let me see. You got it, Coach. You know what it is. Every time, turnovers. You can decipher this one. Morgan State had 3.
Look at time
Townsend had 1.
Look at time of possession. As you say, Morgan State, they beat themselves. They had the ball over 10 minutes longer than Townsend.
Well, what that lets me know is, on paper, Morgan may be a pretty good team. Certainly probably better than Norfolk State. They should, in a matchup, I know the property of transference doesn't always work out. But early in the season, I would say that, wouldn't you say, Campbell, that Morgan played Townsend much better than Norfolk State did?
I actually watched a lot of this game. I had 5 screens up because I wanted to make sure. Yeah, I watched pretty much 90% of all these games. And me and Mike will tell you the thing about it is it was just some of the times when if Morgan had to execute it on offense, Coach, as you saw, this game was to be won for Morgan. And one of the things now, what you're looking at all the teams, other than South Carolina State, which I know we glossed over that, but I want guys to know South Carolina State outplayed the University of South Carolina. Scoring on special teams would have won that game. But I think total offense and defensive, they outplayed South Carolina State. So I'm telling you, that MEAC race is going to be – this is not going to be a 2-team race this year. I think this thing is going to be wide open.
All right. We can go ahead and look at the MEAC next week and then move on, finish up with the SWAC. All right. MEAC next week. Let's see what the MEAC is going to do next week. All right, we got some interesting matchups. We got Morgan's Morehouse and Howard. That's the battle. They having that game at the library, ain't they, guys?
That's the money game, and it ain't got nothing to do with football right there, boy. It's the money game right there. Nobody will be at the game, but the parties and the happy hours will be off the
hey, it won't be no gumbo and dirty rice on that one. It's going to be Grey Poupon.
That's caviar and cocktails right there.
Oh, okay. All right. So they're going to have plenty. It's going to be plenty Grey Poupon and caviar and champagne.
Absolutely.
In the tailgate. Okay, what about this one? Tell me about this one, Coach. Bowie State and Delaware State.
Well, Bowie, I know the head coach there, man. He's a defensive guru, and that's a Division II program versus another one. But man, the way Delaware State playing and the way he got his schedule, I'm gonna give this game to Delaware State.
Are you picking? Are you picking D-Jack?
Yeah, I'm picking Deshaun Jackson on this one.
All right, Coach. I don't know if we had to pick this next one. Campbell, I know you going with D-Jack. I don't even have to. All right, this next one we ain't got to pick. So we all agree Mike Vick is not going to shock the world for his first Division I victory against Rutgers, huh?
No, sir.
Toledo and Morgan State.
Hey, I want to talk about this real quick. And Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. Was this not the game that you guys should have upset Toledo maybe 2 years ago? Correct me. Let me know in the chat, because I remember them playing Toledo, and they should have beat them. I don't think they'll beat them.
I want to say they dropped a punt or something like that to lose the game.
Well, let me tell y'all
there'll
something.
be no fear in this game at all.
I played Toledo at the University of Cincinnati. Great program. The great Nick Saban coached there and worked there as well.
All right, Coach. You picking Morgan State or you picking Toledo?
Oh, man, come on. Toledo. My nephew is the running back coach.
Oh, okay. Got you. Hey, let me ask you about this one, Coach. This is Bethune-Cookman in South Carolina State. We know Chennis Berry very well on this show. He took a good thumping from South Carolina last week. Will he bounce back and get a victory this week?
Let me give you guys a shout out. I want to give you guys a shout out, Nate, to Coach Moses Hopper at Lincoln, Missouri. He's 2-0. The last time Lincoln, Missouri been 2-0, I want our fans to put down what year the last time Lincoln of Missouri was 2-0. What year? And I'm gonna tell you what year it is.
I'm gonna say 1970, the year I was born.
1970. Okay. See if our audience can show it. And I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
Keep going, Coach.
All right. Next is Fayetteville State versus North Carolina Central. This is I forget the little road in between Durham and Fayetteville, but I've been on it several times, being that I used to be a resident in Fayette, and so I know this is probably a 40 minute trip. Well, no, it's probably more of an hour trip in between those two schools. But I'm gonna take North Carolina
Central back on track. You know, one thing about Trey Oliver, he don't run away from nobody. You know what I mean? He played the best, and he put his team up against anybody. So I really can say that.
Hey, let me ask you this here, Coach. Is this a game where you see what you have in your backup quarterback, you let him get some run, or do you get Walker Harris settled in and solidified as a starter against a Division II opponent?
I think you do both. I think you get Harris back on track in the first half. Hopefully he's moving the offense like he's supposed to. And then in the back of your mind, you're saying, I'm getting number 2 ready.
All right. Campbell, you got anything to add on this MEAC lineup?
I just want to say my family is from Fayetteville. I have a lot of family as alumni. And Fayetteville, can you believe, has 7,500 students? And I'm telling you, I talked to some of the people in the chat, that are MEAC Central, and I said, that should be a target. I know they don't want to pay the money, but if I was in the MEAC, I'd figure out a way to weigh that fee and see with them building that, because, hey, they're on target to have 9,000 students in the next 5 years. That's what my uncle told me. It's a big alumni. So that is amazing. They're bigger than most of the schools in the MEAC right now.
Wow.
So I think that's an opportunity for them just to bring, but they won't be North Carolina Central.
Okay. All right, here we go, guys. We got 2 schools, one in Alabama, one in Mississippi, Tuskegee and Jackson State. I want to ask you guys, if they were having a spelling bee, who would win?
Well, Tuskegee is a black ivy. So, they're 2 different mission statements, 2 different schools, 2 different missions. Tuskegee is a private school, Jackson State's a public school. So I won't put it out there. But what I will tell you it won't be having to do nothing to spelling. They'll be able to spell touchdown because that's what Jackson State's going to do a lot of against Tuskegee. So they won't have to worry about winning the spelling bee. They'll win that scoreboard.
Hey, now I'm gonna tell you like this here. This next game between Prairie View and Rice, because I know I have a student. My daughter attends Prairie View. I think it'll be closer in a spelling bee than it will be in this football game.
Oh, really? You think Rice gonna run away with it?
Coach, I think anytime, Coach, and this ain't got nothing to do with Tremaine Jackson. This ain't got nothing to do with you got. Historically, when these matchups happen, we know what happens.
The whites and the blacks.
We know what happens, Coach.
What you giving Rice? 2, 3, 4 touchdowns?
28.
That's all you giving them?
Yeah. Okay. That's good for Rice.
Hey, listen. Listen. If you look at
28 in whatever Prairie View school,
yeah. Well, like I'm talking about something like 42-14 is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Now this one may be the game of the week right here. Yeah. This may be the game of the week. This is Alabama A&M against Tennessee State. Even though Tennessee State beat A&T, I'm not sure what they have. And I think we kind of know what Alabama A&M is, don't we, guys?
Oh, yeah. Very well coached football team. Gonna pound that ball, but they do got a quarterback that can get it done over top.
Coach, both of these guys are friends of the show. Matter of fact, I think they appeared on the same day or one day behind each other, Coach. Both of them seem to be really competent coaches, have proven themselves on multiple levels, both of them. Similarities here, Coach, with these 2 guys leading the program. I'm going to have to take Alabama A&M, Coach.
Wow. Good choice.
I'm gonna have to do the same. I think that Coach Barlow, I think he just got in there late. He just haven't gotten all his guys in. I give him credit for getting that win against North Carolina A&T, but I think Alabama A&M, they've got the better quarterback. They've got the better offense. They shouldn't have a problem winning this game.
And this is a classic of some sort, isn't it, Coach?
Yeah, I think it's the jump. No classic.
It's
classic last week.
Okay. All right, but this is a good matchup. This is a good matchup. And if you're anywhere near Nashville, if I was anywhere near Nashville, I would be pulling in and checking that one out. We don't have to talk about this one. This is a struggling Alcorn State team traveling to Mississippi State. They're going to continue to struggle. Miles and Alabama State, I don't suspect them to make any noise against Alabama State.
Well, Miles beat them last year. So it's the big payback.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, Coach.
2 years ago.
Was that two? Okay.
2 years ago. They've already had their payback. So they've already done that. And the coach ain't there, so it doesn't even matter. Not Sam.
Yeah, Sam ain't there.
Sam ain't there.
So we got we talked about this game. I think Tennis Berry's gonna bring this one home. It must be homecoming at Arkansas Pine Bluff because Lincoln, California is there.
California is there.
Yeah.
Grambling won away, smashed Kentucky State.
Now, this is interesting here. Now, again, I fully expect I fully expect Southeast Louisiana to win the game. But I also see this as another opportunity for Mississippi Valley to show what they got, right?
No,
what do you guys expect?
No, Coach. It's going to be a runaway.
I think, let me tell you something. Watch Valley play against Tarleton. That was another one of the game. Again, think for Coach Buckley to come on the show. Again, you're talking about a first-year coach. Hey, Coach Robinson, Coach Doug Williams talked about bringing in a lot of guys, trying to get them used to it. It's the same thing here with Valley. Again, I think they're going to play hard, but Southeast Louisiana is going to win this game.
Okay. So then we got Lamar and Texas Southern. Lamar is ranked in the FCS. I saw that earlier today. Didn't you send me that, Campbell?
I did.
Now that is a good game. That's going to be a good game.
And that's
they actually beat South Dakota, who was ranked.
Let's look at them. Let's see who they beat, Coach. We don't have to guess about this. They beat South Dakota. They sure did.
Yeah. And South Dakota was like in the top 10.
Let me see. I know a kid that plays on that team down there in let me see. Let me look at the box score, see if that kid's playing quarterback. Nah, that's not the kid playing quarterback. But that's the kid from Waco right there, Major Bowden.
South Dakota?
No, from Lamar.
Oh, okay.
He played. He was a running back here.
This is one of those games, once again, that we've talked about. Like I say, Coach Dismishoni's got talent on the team, but once again, the question is again about the coaching and finishing the task. Can they keep the game close? And then when the game is close, can they close it out? That's would have been their problem at Texas Southern. So I think it's going to be a close game, but unfortunately, I think Lamar's going to pull that out.
This is a situation where, Coach, how many of these games did you go into with a school like, say, Lamar, Sam Houston, back in your day, Southwest Texas State, or even Stephen F. Austin, where the talent was equal between those schools? Were you ever equal in talent with those schools?
I wasn't playing them schools. And I fought my president to a fight about playing Southwest Texas State. And they were moving to Texas State, Division 1A. And they called us, and I fought my president. And he finally put his foot down and said, no, that's where we're going to play them, because he knew the president of the other school. They wanted us to come because what? We going to bring the crowd. We're going to bring the band. Now, I didn't play those schools, Coach, because I recruited against them. And I know I wasn't there yet, in my second and third year. I wasn't there yet. And that's why I never played Sam Houston and Stephen F. and Connie Word. I wasn't playing them because we recruit the same kids.
Coach, looked like they played this game in a phone booth. The quarterback, one quarterback threw for 108, the other one threw for 65. One team ran for 135, the other team ran for 139.
Or it was a lot of great defense.
Yeah, they played that. Hey, one guy threw 16 times and threw 2 interceptions. Coach, do he get to throw the ball this next week?
Woo!
Yeah, so I think somebody said Lamar is not good. They may be on to something. They just might have coached South Dakota down this year. Maybe the NIL has caught up with them because I don't think they opted in over there on that side of the fence. But anyway, I think, again, does Texas Southern have a chance? I think they do. But I fully expect Lamar to pull it out.
There you go.
And then we got Southern and Fresno State. And then we caught, again, FAMU is hosting Albany State, which I'm going to tell you this. They may have the most exciting player in HBCU football, Mr. Knowles.
Albany State?
Yeah.
Running back or quarterback?
Quarterback.
Okay.
So what do you think about that game, Campbell? Are you going to be in attendance?
No, that's one of the games I'm not going to be. I'm going to be at every other home game, but this one. Listen, I'm going to say this again. There's no need of hiding it. Coach Cole's got to win this game, point blank, period. It's just a fact. Yeah, I mean, it's no shade to him. And first of all, it's Florida A&M. They shouldn't lose to Albany State. But I will say it on the flip side, you got Quinn Gray. Hey, he's coming down there for a job interview. And they are very excited. They're going to bring a lot of people down there. And like I say, Florida A&M does not play game. They better put this game away and move on to the next game.
So you saying Quinn Gray could literally win this game and take and snatch Cozy's whistle right from under his neck?
Well, you got to understand something. What's going to happen is that if you're Coach Cozy, you don't even want that to be said, because if he comes down there and wins, then of course you're going to have to come back the next week and explain why you lost to Albany State. After you lost to Howard, and after you lost, that means there's been no progress over 3 weeks. And the coach, they say from week 1 to week 2, you're supposed to get better. Well, I hope after week 3, you've gotten even better. So Florida A&M is real. Like I say, listen, the thing about it is, and I think this is what's confusing everybody. I've seen bad Florida A&M teams as far as talent-wise. You see the talent on defense. The defensive talent's there. It's just not execute on offense. Wide receivers not catching the ball. The offensive line is not blocking. That is not the key to success. You're talking about a team that's got a quarterback that can throw the ball. Is this going to be a situation like an Andrew Body against a UAB, where all of a sudden score gets up and starts moving? So, again, I think Coach Coles understands what's at stake. I think the Rattlers understand. I think they're going to have pride, and they're going to go ahead and beat Albany State.
Coach.
What you got?
Coach Cozy is looking for his first win this season. He has a D2 opponent coming into town, a hot D2 opponent. What can happen here, Coach? Can his fan base turn against it if he loses this game right here?
Oh, no, without a doubt. I mean, Florida A&M is definitely, it was always an issue when he got the job, how he got the job, and if he could keep the job. In that first year, losing Mississippi Valley, is the old "what have you done for me lately?" Even though he had a winning season, he can't drop this to a Division II program. He just can't, and he can't drop it with a low score. He's got to start putting numbers up, and right now he's not doing a good job of that.
So you saying, Coach, not only does he have to win, he has to win with style.
Yes, without a doubt. You got to win Florida A&M way.
Do you agree with that, Coach?
No, I think so, because, again, you got to understand, after you roll in this, and like I say, I think after this game, I got to look and see who we play. But I know at the end of the month we play, because I'll be at that game, we play Alabama State. So you want to get this thing going before you play that game, because that's going to be a hard-fought game no matter what. Because, like I say, just how we played Alabama State. So now I think they need to go in there, get their offense rolling, get those wide receivers going, get this game over with, get those guys feeling good. Because, like I say, you just don't – it's too much chatter right now in Tallahassee with too many things. And one thing I think for Coach Cozy, he's not good on the defensive. You know what I mean? When he's got to kind of explain the things like that, he's much better when he's on the confidence side of it. So I want Coach to have that confidence and instill it into those players.
I agree with you, Coach. A lot of us, when the lights get cut off at home, I ain't confident either when my wife come and ask me why we ain't got no lights, Coach. What's a good answer, Coach?
Oh man, you caught me off guard there, Coach.
No, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? That's the kind of situation Coach is in. He's in a situation where the expectation is that we always have lights, that we always have running water, that we always have what we need. And he ain't got it.
Look, he's got to win, baby, win. And this one, he got to win big.
He got to come through, huh, Coach? But no, not. And I was just saying to Campbell, like, a lot of us ain't real good, ain't real confident when things are going bad, man. You know?
Yeah.
A lot of us are sketchy in those same situations. But we got to, hear my man SWAC fans say, it ain't no good answer. You're right. You're right. You guys are right. Divorce. All these things are good, Coach. He just needs to come through with it. Hey, I just got to get that light bill money. That's all. That's the only answer. That's acceptable. Ain't that right, Keisha? All right.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this, Rocky, and like I say, you and your wife are married. Well, one thing about Florida A&M, we ain't married to nobody. We got champagne face. So I'm just trying to tell you, we are nothing but dating, and it's always been like that with every coach. They understand that. That's what it is. So, like I say,
well, you know, as a coach, you should expect that. You know,
exactly.
If I'm coming in playing Albany State, I ain't been doing well. I got to get on them. Shit, we coming out with trick plays out your ass. You know, we gonna side kick it, off kick it. You know, we gonna fake the punt. You know, we gonna put some razzle dazzle. You know, we gonna make it where everybody's sitting at the edge of their seats.
So let me ask Campbell this, because Campbell, you our FAMU guy, and then we'll get out of here. He's only lost one game that he should have won, and that was the Howard game. Was the Howard loss that bad?
Well, you got to understand something. The problem with the Howard loss, it stems back to last year. You didn't see any progress because the whole thing was we got a new offensive coordinator, we've got a quarterback, the offense is going to be better. The offense hasn't been better. So that makes you worried because that's why we lost last year. We lost Mulberry, but we couldn't score over 21 points last year. We're not even doing that this year. So that's the thing about it, where it's the big concern with everybody is that, because again, and another thing too, this is what's so dangerous about our schedule and what's so great about all the big dogs come to Tallahassee. We literally could win the SWAC by winning all our home games, but we lose all our home games. Could be one of the worst seasons ever for FAMU. So that's the thing. It's no in between on this, and that's no problem. This, like Coach said, you get paid to win these games. So I don't want to hear people, oh, you talk. No, you get paid. There's no different than Jackson State, Southern, Grambling, every coach, Trey Oliver, all that. Every coach is paid to win championships. Point blank period. So I believe in our coach. Our coach knows what he's got to do. FAMU has a standard. Be the standard.
Hey, Coach. We 2 hours, 22 minutes in. We've had a great show tonight. We had Doug Williams on, man. This is a great show. I want to thank everybody who stayed with us the entire show, both on the Off Script channel and on our channel. Thank you guys for hanging in there with us. Also, I'd like you to like and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Please like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. Hey, guys, that's all I have, and y'all can have it from here on out.
Well, one of the things, again, that shout out to Coach Moses Harper at Lincoln, University of Lincoln in Missouri. They're 2-0. And the last time they've been 2-0 was back in 1972. He's an understudy of mine. He's an up-and-coming young coach. He's getting it done. I'm looking for great things, and hopefully he have a great season and turning that school around for over 40-plus years of losing. Moses Harper, Lincoln, Missouri. All right, Coach. Man, you got something, Coach? Then I'm gonna bring it to the close.
I got one thing just real quick, and I just want to point out. So I'm gonna say this to all my HBCU coaches that watch the show. I have had several of your alums that are high school coaches. And what we really do, they're saying, hey, coach, can you let these coaches know that they're not contacting us about the players that we have or players we're playing against? So I'm saying, hey, to every school, we need to have a alumni association just for the high school football coaches. And you all need to network with these guys. You need to bring them in. You need to have clinics, because we should not, and I'm just saying, we should not be losing to the Northwestern states of the world. We should not. We should not. And they're taking players that we should be getting. I had one coach say that guy that played over that school wanted to come to X school, but nobody called him. So I think we really got to do a better job of using our net. We have a tremendous network in all the state of Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, where we've got people that want to send their players to our school. So, Coach, I'm just saying, so to all the coaches, get your alumni together that are football coaches, have a conference call at least once a month, find out who the players are in your area, and let's get them to our schools.
Yeah. Well, that's very important, man, about keeping that net of networking together and making sure that we honor and respect our alums that have came through the school, knowing the situation that you have. I think that's very important that you keep that pipeline going, But, we had a great legendary guy, Doug Williams, on the show. For some reason, we don't connect with our legendary guys. It's been plenty. Doug is not the only one. He's just one of many. But one thing about him, anytime it's HBCU, man, he dropped what he's doing and he shows his support. 2 million followers. I can't say enough about thanking the people that follow this show. Continue with your grace and your mercy and your kindness of following us. God has blessed me with this opportunity that hopefully I can send out the same blessings and make sure that we're doing what we're doing to keep this network going about HBCU sports. Again, like I always say, if you feel yourself at the end of the rope, tie a knot and hold on tight, because ain't nobody bad like you.